Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and that means that you are on the lifeboat. And that's Squirrel. Good morning, Kitty. What do you say? I went to bed really early last night, and Squirrel kicked it with me for just about the entire evening. She didn't become a real jerk until about an hour ago. Hey, good morning, Borderline. What? Good to see you. Mark, good to see you. Jobo Baggins, good morning. It's Friday. And you know what that means, of course. Well, there's that. No, I was, of course, referring to the taking down and dusting of my collection of Franklin Mint plates commemorating Conway Twitty. It's an every third Friday thing. Yes, she is in the chill cat position this morning, which is rare. We're going to talk today for a little while about living in the moment. And I was sitting down joking with Johnny Scoville while I'm drinking some coffee because we get up very early. And he said, what are you doing this morning? And I said, I'm going to talk about living in the moment. Amazingly, first time I've done this on the lifeboat, which of course isn't even remotely true. It's like I don't know. I've probably done this show 100.5 times so far. I don't know, somewhere in there. But it's really funny because right before I went live, I was telling Johnny, I said, we did something really cool at the lifeboat today. And he was like, tell me. And I didn't want to do the story twice. So I kind of pretended that I forgot what I was talking about. But I didn't want to do this whole breakdown twice. But guess what happened this morning at the lifeboat? The amount of time that people have watched this channel clicked to 10 years today. Yeah. Do you see what I just did? I was looking down for the cords hanging from my neck. I'm cordless, people. I am cordless. Still in the final testing stages. So far, I am so pleased with these things that I probably will actually be endorsed by these earbuds. This is the having a cat and having a cord that goes from your head to your. Anyway, this is a company that reached out to us, and you know what? They're awesome. They're ridiculous. I will probably roll them out tonight by name. My big fear was that I would start using them and then something would happen and they would suck and I would have already said, wow, these things are awesome. But to be really honest, these things are awesome. And I've been using them for a long time since I got them and have not had to charge them yet, which is pretty damned impressive to me because it's not like I do, like I don't spend a lot of time with it. This thing on my dome. Kathy says, I'm working exactly on this, living in the moment. It's extra hard for those of us with CPTSD. We tend to be in fantasy land sometimes. Well, not me. I've never lived in fantasy land even moments. Obviously, I'm kidding. I'm still living in a fantasy land. How do you like that? The real world sucks. Well, here's the deal. I've talked about this many times on the boat, and I read a really fantastic book whilst incarcerated. Going too fast. Morning, everybody. Yeah, it's going too fast. This is, I don't want to slow it down because the way I slow it down means that you people can only make a comment every 15 seconds or every 30 seconds or whatever. And if you're talking back and forth with somebody, in the chat, it really starts to mess with you. If it gets too much faster, the day is coming where we're going to have to, which sucks. But in the meantime, we're just going to have to read quick, I think. So the concept of, in 10 years, let me explain that. So what I mean is, if you were to turn on the lifeboat and leave it on 24 hours a day, around the clock, how much view time have we had? 10 years. It just hit 10 years. Exactly. It's like 10 years and, an hour or something like that. I was doing the math and was blown away. It's hard to live in the moment when you feel bad, but a mantra of mine is this too shall pass. Do you know what's funny is mischief? What's funny is that when I went to, when I got incarcerated for the big one, the longest of my sentences, That was the Johnny Scoville. I got one letter from my brother when I first started the sentence, and that's what he wrote. He wrote in a different language, actually, but he wrote, "This too shall pass." And it did. It took a really long time. It took a really long time for it to pass, and part of it is still passing. But I read a book while I was inside. 98 degrees Fahrenheit in Perth, Western Australia.
Well, that's the outback, man.
That's beautiful, though. That's great weather. That's about what we like that here. 98 degrees here is usually considered a cool day. Honestly, though, right now we're into the time of year where in Tucson, Arizona, what happens is this entire state becomes San Diego, or this entire city rather becomes San Diego. And for the next 7 months or whatever, the weather's perfect. It's just absolutely perfect. Occasionally it gets a little bit chilly, but not very often. And when it does, we'll fire up the fireplace. And though the weather outside is frightful, we're not going to see any of that. It's frosted here, says Valerie. I almost wish I was there just long enough to go like this and do the Chevy Chase thing like he does at the Grand Canyon. Okay, nice. Like the frost is cool. Breathe in a little of that cold air and then just be a wrap. You follow me? That really is would be perfect. Sorry. My sweatshirt's driving me nuts. Going to be 47 degrees for a high up here in Minnesota, says Joe Bo Baggins. Whoa. My brother's an idiot. That's the silliest thing I've ever seen. You showed me a flexing kangaroo. Okay, so the idea is this, right? The idea is this. We should be taking stuff in like a streaming service, like Hulu, right? Or like pick your favorite streaming service, Netflix, whatever. We shouldn't be doing this thing like a hard drive, right? We're not supposed to be taking things in like a VCR, grabbing a hold of stuff, holding on to it permanently, or worse, holding on to it permanently and not even dealing with it. Because normally what we do is we do this one. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this away. See, I think this is important. I don't have really time to deal because I've got this life thing that I've got to do, and I've got kids and I got to get people to work. And I got to, do all of these things, get the kids to school, go to work. So I'm going to deal with this later. And you just sort of pass it down the line. Right? And unfortunately, we don't deal with it. So we get this backlog of, Nick. Good to see you. I'm feeling a little better, Nick. Thank you for asking. I truthfully am feeling a little better. I had a rough couple of days, man. And not just health-wise. It's just been a really rough couple of days. It really has. Part of don't let me get rolling. Valerie 102 says, I am definitely a procrastinator. One of the reasons that people procrastinate. Let me rephrase that. The reason that people procrastinate, and I mean across the board, the reason that people procrastinate is fairly simple. And it is because we're afraid of the future. Sorry, it's the truth. I don't care how many ways you look at it or how you church it up. We're afraid of the future. Right? I do it all the time. I'm the worst. I'm terrible about it. I put stuff off because I'm afraid of dealing with it. Seven Sun says, I'll start procrastinating tomorrow. That's actually pretty damn good. Yeah, and that's really kind of the way that it works. We start to feel it in a way. I guess it's about living in the moment, but and if in fact it is living in the moment. When fear is always based on the future, nobody's ever afraid of the past, right? We're not afraid of things we've already done. We already did them, right? We're afraid of those things coming back on us. That's legit. Bull, I wouldn't want that to happen. Some people live in the moment of the fear of something that we've been through already coming back on us. That's legit. But it's fear. And when you conquer that fear, then you'll stop procrastinating. And for a lot of people, it means breaking stuff down into really small pieces that they can knock off and do it easily and feel good about it. For me, it's literally about living in the moment. Right? There's only so much I can do right now. And the beautiful thing is that huge impending doom, right? This assignment that needs to be done, or $10,000 that you need to come up with in the next hour, or whatever your problem happens to be. right? All of that stuff is down the line, right? All of that stuff is something I got to worry about that's not in the moment. But in the moment, I can do something to actually maybe make a little cash so that that money is a little bit less, let it flow. That money is a little less intimidating or a little bit less hanging over your shoulder because we can't get off of go, right? Whatever it is that you've got to get done, you've got this house that needs to be cleaned and it's massive and you're looking at it and you're like, there's no way I'm going to get this done. And I got people coming tomorrow. And the fear that you're not going to get it done makes it so you can't take that first step. You can't pick that first thing up and put it away, right? And that's how it starts. Let it flow. That's what the conscious is meant to do. When we stop the wheel, we get stuck in that thought. Our mind is like a river. If you stop the flow, it gets backed up and we get stuck. Boy, let's not talk about anything backed up in your brain. It's at least for the moment. Been having one of those weeks. Noise Opera, thank you, my friend. She's exactly right, though. And that's the concept, right, of the flowing river. It's the concept of the streaming service. Something comes through, we watch it, right? Somebody says something to you that's biting, right? If you sit in this chair or if you create content on YouTube and you realize that if you're watching me, there's an excellent chance you probably create a little of your own content too. We're all content creators, or at least most of us are, right, on YouTube. And as content creators, you get a little crap thrown at you, right? And the more content you create, the more crap you get thrown at you. And the larger your audience, the more crap you get thrown at you, right? And as the audience grows, and you kind of got to develop some really thick skin really quickly, or you just maybe stop creating content, right? That's usually the way that works out. But I can be bummed out, right? If you do the, boy, that cat is ugly. He's got the biggest nose I've seen on YouTube, right? You throw out some typical, or I'm a con man, or do you know how many people this guy ripped off, or I get any of those things because I open myself up quite a bit with being honest about my past. Now I can sit and I can dwell on that and I can let it mess me up for the next 6 months, right? Hey, Cosmic Christie, glad you made a live again. Good to see you. I can sit and dwell on it and I can let it take me apart. Instead, I put some rules in place. Number one, I don't look at it. So occasionally somebody emails me something or I got to hear it. Somebody will call me and go, oh, dude, that video the guy did about you. And before you can say to him, hey, you know what? I really don't feel like hearing it. They've already told you the part where the guy said this, or this, or, whatever the case may be. Deal with it. Sit down, cope with it. Okay, what did he say? Let's do it, right? Let's get it done. What did he say about me? Since you already did this, let's get it done. And I'll sit and I'll deal with it. And I'll go, you know what? It pisses me off. It really does. Makes me want to smack somebody in the head. So I'm going to let it go. I'm going to sit. I'm going to deal with it right then. But I'm not putting it away. I'm not recording it. I'm going to deal with it in the moment while it's happening. And I'm going to let it fly. Now, am I perfect at this? No, I'm not. Yeah, Nick, that's it. Nick says, absolutely, it's fear. I've been leaning into that fear as of late and letting it be my drive rather than my hindrance. Damn. I'll tell you something. That was probably 20 more minutes into the show because it's really kind of how you end a talk like this. But that's the absolute what you do. And if you lean into it, you can absolutely start catching a buzz on the fear. I promise you can. I really groove to the fact that I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring in about 90% of my life. I mean, there's areas in your life that you would like to have a little bit of certainty. You know what I mean? If I've been married a couple of times and I got a couple of kids. Those kinds of certainties are nice. You know what I mean? If you have a significant other and you've got a family, those things are beautiful to have. And I remember times when those were nice, that 10%. One of my surgery wounds got infected, so I'm feeling stressed out about it, but I'm going to be fine. Sal, I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you're with us. I'm sorry to hear that one of your surgery wounds got infected. Can we get some thoughts and prayers up there for Salat? It's not a lot to ask. See what I did there, Johnny? I worked that Salat thing. It's going to sound like a pun. Good. I want you to think of me smacking you, Scoob. I want you to think of me slapping you every single time you do that. Right? You need the Tommy voice here. Listen carefully. You should put that money into savings. Right? Don't buy that. What are you kidding me? Are you going to spend $75 this week on coffee, Scoob? How's that? Am I helping? Record those, Scoob. Put those away. You can go back and just play that when you're thinking of buying a $9 coffee. Right? Let's not do that. Kathy, well, I'm glad you're back here too. Miss Sunrise Dawn just had surgery on my eye Wednesday, still sore. Now I'm dropping off 2 of my cats to be neutered. Oh, you have 2 kitties that need to be neutered. I love it. Those are it's a fun age of kitties, right? I've got I would love to get I think I'm going to get a dog. I really am thinking about getting a dog. I want one just to we've had some crap around here with with somebody sneaking around or prowling around, and it was a dog that made me aware of the fact that was happening, and I would love to have a dog like that. That was a good dog though. Nice. Did you hear that? Annette, that's so cool. Oh, that's so cool. Annette says, I'm going to paint rocks like Christmas ornaments and put them on the doorsteps of my neighbors. God's handiwork. Annette, that's so damn cool. Thank you, Michael J. I am so far from a genius, but I'll take that. We have 15 cats, and these are the last 2 to be fixed. I'm sorry, did you just say you have 15 cats? And a beagle. Hold on a second. See this? This is permanent. Right. This is permanent. You get to keep this forever. This is literally going to Miss Sunrise Dawn as a permanent. You saved 15 cats, still 2 to be fixed, and have a dog. So you have rescued 16 animals. This is yours. This really is. I don't give out the participation trophy in perpetuity often, to someone that just gets to keep it forever. The gray zone with Vanessa, she saved like 200 animals. She also gets one of those. What's that?
Perpetuity is just killed.
Did you like this?
Great usage.
Great usage of it. Did you hear about the guy who drank invisible ink? He's at the hospital waiting to be seen.
That's a pretty good one.
That's not bad. They're all rescues. You are a hero. You really are. You're a hero. No, you know what? That's one of those things that is majorly heroic. To me, it really is. This little fur ball next to me who is annoying only about 10% of the time. Honestly, about 90% of the time, Squirrel is just an absolute joy to be around. 10% of the time, she's a handful. But she's a rescue. I would, if I had more time on my hands, I would love to rescue all of them. To be really honest, I am in really bad shape from. We sort of built and installed, or installed. We didn't build, but it was in a stage of built. We installed like a Murphy bed kind of a thing, and it weighed about 2 million pounds, which I know sounds ridiculous, but it might have been a little over 2 million pounds. It was actually affecting the gravitational pull of the planet.
It's 1.7 million.
Well, he says it's 1.7 million. I might be exaggerating. I don't know. A Bernedoodle and his bestie big orange tabby. Sir Wesley, protectors of the Dunshire. Plant freak? Did you just say that? We had a mouse try to get in the house yesterday and immediately realized its mistake when it saw a room full of cats looking at it. Seriously, you talk about wandering into the wrong home. Holy hell, there's a cat on every flat surface. Plant Freak says, I love my Rocket Man, Big A Bernedoodle, and his bestie, Big Orange Tabby, Sir Wesley, protectors of the Dunshire. Boy, I just love that. Should just stay up there. Good morning, Lori T. How are ya? Good for you, Scoob. Mr. Cat was a save. Oh man, my lower back is just in bad shape. Please do, Steve. He says he's got to take his meds. My lower back is just. What did I miss, Tommy? My ex-sociopath affects the gravitational pull of the planet. Well, I've been doing that personally for years, but oh no, I was talking about a Murphy bed that Johnny and I built in the house, and somebody brought it over. It was a project that someone had for a while somewhere else, and it was brought over here, and it's a bed. And this thing, moving a bed is difficult. Moving a bed that can open with springs and all kinds of things. And I was put in a position that, I got this thing going on in my dome where I start thinking that I'm younger than I am. And I'm not being funny, right? It really is a disease. You start, if you spent a lot of your life active, and you know what I mean? Like I'm still if you saw me in person, I still look like I'm in decent shape, I can still do things that make it look like I'm in decent shape, but I'm not in decent shape. I don't think anybody my age is in decent shape. Even the ones you see that, like, he's ripped and he's on the cover of Men's Journal. That dude, as soon as they took that picture, he went, "Oh God, my ankle!" Right? I got this thing with my knee. Men I'm telling you, you hit our age, just put me out the pasture.
It's a dirty trick.
It's a filthy freaking trick. Honestly, I look better in a pair of shorts right now than I've probably ever looked in my life. You know what I mean? Like, I really look like I'm in great shape, and just everything on my body's falling apart. I'm going to have to go like bite a bullet and get somebody to work on my back. Murphy bed, piano, same thing. They weigh 1 million pounds. See, Goddess Divine gets it. Goddess Divine gets it.
It's just 3 pianos.
Johnny did say that the Murphy bed's like 3 pianos. However, let's just call it like a baby grand. I think it's probably about the same as a baby grand. You know what, Kathy? You're not older than me. See, let's get this done right now so that we can just stomp this out and not have to deal with this ever again. There is nobody older than me on the lifeboat. Capiche? Nobody. And I'll explain to you why. You know how cat and dog ears are like different or whatever? Okay, so if you just take snapshots of my life, right? The beginning of it, I was spent on skis, doing things that you shouldn't do on skis. And I just destroyed my body, absolutely destroyed my body. And when everybody that I grew up with got smart at like 17 and 18 and stopped doing all of those stupid things on skis, I just doubled down. You know what I mean? Like that was the part that I just put my foot to the floor. And I did it until I was in my 30s. And you shouldn't be doing backflips on skis in your 30s. Even when you go up and you land it and everything is perfect, you hurt. You know what I mean? Like at that age, and I know 30 sounds young as hell, but for a guy that does inverted aerials on skis, it wasn't young. And then there was that prison thing. And the problem with prison is not, getting beat up and stabbing people or getting stabbed or riots or any of the things that people think. The problem is you sleep on a cookie sheet, right? You sleep on a 1/4-inch piece of flat steel with a 1-inch mattress on it. And that's just not good for your rig at all. That's your body, man. That is your body. And I did that for, I don't know, a lot of nights. More than I care to think and admit, but my lower back right now, and I slept last night, like probably as well as I have in a long time. Lenny and Squiggy, the cats you're dropping off are named Lenny and Squiggy. If I had a second trophy, I'd give it to you. You are of a specific age, because there are people out there right now. I do have like 1 or 2 followers who are young enough that they're right now are going, Lenny and who? What is that? Great names for 2 males, for real. Sounds like a competition. Who has done more crazy things during the years? Yeah, boy. You know what? It would, honestly, it's a terrible competition. Those are all bad. But if you go back and watch I won't do a highlight reel for you, but over the course of the 1,200, just the stupid things I've done. I really have, and I'm not proud of any of them. I'm really not. Even the stuff that getting, competing in skiing. I've done some cool things. Got some great pictures. Had a lot of fun. I'm not even proud of that. Even the stuff that wasn't stupid, I'm not proud of, because the only reason I was able to continue to do it is because I was doing just huge amounts of opiates the entire time. Seventh Son says the big ragu. That would be Carmine Ragusa. Too old to remember all of these things, but what's funny is I can remember all of those. But what was the name of that girl that I was supposed to call? That never happens, Or the name of that guy I was supposed to call? No, that wasn't that kind of thing, Johnny. I just picked a girl. It could be anybody. I'm not good with remembering things. Pilates may help with your back. You know what? I do a lot of yoga. In fact, I did a great yoga video. I hate my brother. I shot a yoga video that I was going to put up for you guys. I talked about this, and I went outside and shot it. It was like 23 or 24 minutes or something. It was just like a basic intro to yoga. And you got two options with this, right? The age difference between me and Johnny is like 40 years. I am considerably younger than he is. Truthfully, I'm 4 years younger than he is. You had a crush on Pinky Tuscadero, says Steve Molesky. Oh, you gotta love it. I personally had the crush I had was on Suede. Wasn't that the name of? Wasn't it Pinky Tuscadero and Suede? Wasn't that the name of her band? Somebody Google that, please.
Wow, you know her band.
Tell me if it wasn't Pinky Tuscadero and Suede. Check that out for me. Yeah. Me doing yoga, first of all, not only do I do yoga, Cheryl, but I used to teach it, and I'm pretty good at it. But you're going to do it one of two ways. You're going to video the crap out of it, and then you're going to edit it like the pros on TV so that every pose you do looks perfect. That would be the way to do it. Leather Tuscadero. It was Pinky and Leather. Leather Tuscadero and Suede. Pinky Tuscadero and Leather. Come on, Johnny, don't let me down. Lori T, did you look that up? Because there was a Pinky.
No, but it's Leather Tuscadero.
It is?
Yeah, it really is.
It's Leather Tuscadero?
Oh.
Lori T, you genius. It's Leather Tuscadero and Suede. Is that the name of the band? It is. Give me some here. So Leather Tuscadero and Suede. Lori T. You know what? Lori T, do me a favor and send me an email at sober@myyahoo.com. Please send me a email. sober@myyahoo.com. It's Leather Tuscadero. You've been saying that wrong for the vast majority of a half a century.
Well, we drop that once in a while.
All the time. Her name was Leather? Who the hell was Pinky? How did that happen?
Pinky is what Fonzie called him. Leather was the band. That's what she called it. That's her Christian name.
That's her Christian name. You did not just drop that. Oh, wow. See, look what's happened. So live in the moment. What have you allowed this to degenerate into? And here's the sad thing. They're out there like this. Friezinu says, I had a crush on Leather Tuscadero. Yeah. Pinky in the Brain. Yep, that could be. I was a little before my time. By the time Pinky and the Brain came on, I was doing pretty mad amounts of drugs. It was all bad. Yes. There's a lot of truth to that. Pinky was Fonzie's girl. Thank you, Jeremy. There's a lot of truth to the fact that yoga will help you with your back. I do remember the Malachi Crunch, the Demolition Derby. Yes, I do. You just knocked Johnny Scoville to the floor. Honestly, the Malachi Crunch just literally took Johnny off his feet. He looked like he was hit with a baseball bat. That's Lori T again, by the way. Lori T, back to backs. Took him off his feet. I'm so glad that you did that. Good morning, Eddie.
She watched fucking stuff.
Good morning, Jeremy. Oh yeah, I got a question for you. Well, we've done this one on the boat a lot. But yesterday, was it yesterday or was it the day before? May have been the day before. But I might have been because it was right after the hospital. I think it was my brother trying to cheer me up, is what it was. But he said, "Hey, I got something you got to see," and he busted out the intro and outro to HR Puff and Stuff. And if you've never watched that show, you don't remember these things as a kid, but the intro and the outro take like 16 minutes. There was not a lot of time left for that show. Sid and Marty Krofft. When they do the intro to that show, there's a song and a story, and it's honestly like 4 minutes is the intro. It's just insane. And then the outro is about another 3. But you didn't get a whole lot of time left. Does that mean each century egg salad sandwich with Tommy is jumping the shark? I'll tell you something. Jeez. I have jumped the shark when it comes to eating foul things on Chase the Heat. And I know what you're saying. I know what he's saying. I know what everyone's saying. You've said that before. Witchy poo and the talking flute. Deeming 9. Well played. Jimmy. As I've said before, I had a shot at buying that flute. I'll talk about it. Pinky and Leather were sisters, 2 separate characters. Susie Q.
Yeah, Leather was she's right. Leather was was Leather the older one?
Pinky and Leather were sisters, 2 separate characters. Thank you, Susie Q. Thank you. You know, I got a guy sitting next to me on a damn computer, and he can't seem to pull that off, but you did. Well, here's the thing, Scummy. The anti-abuse drugs don't stop anyone from drinking if they don't care about being sick. Now, anabuse, so this is really not necessarily the case. So, because right now what they're using primarily as the big medical assisted treatment drug right now is for alcohol abuse disorder, what we used to call alcoholism, is naltrexone. And you can drink on naltrexone all you want. You're not going to get sick at all. But what naltrexone does is it takes away, and we tried to describe this before on the boat, but what happens is you got the buzz of the alcohol. Alcohol makes you buzzed. It depresses the central nervous system, and it causes your speech to slur, and you know all of the things that we associate with drinking. In the addict, the reward center of the brain goes, wow, this is important, right? Here, have all the feel-good chemicals you can have. We'll throw a little love in there, maybe a little lust. I mean, whatever, but just chemicals that make you happier than a pig in mud. You're being rewarded for that first sip in a really big way. And then the next sip, and the next sip, and the next sip. And your brain just keeps giving you. Naltrexone cuts off the feel-good chemicals. You're still going to feel like you're buzzed. You're still going to slur your speech. All of those things are still going to happen. What's not going to happen is your reward system is going to act like other people's, and you're not going to get that, oh, this is perfect. Relax, squirrel. I assure you that's not a coyote. She hopped to her feet, ready to defend the castle. Great cat that way. But I think we're going to be all right on this one. So, and then with antabuse, yeah, if you drink on antabuse, you're going to get sick. You're going to get wicked sick. But I've never, it's a rare human being that will drink through antabuse. I mean, they might do it once. It's a rugged sick. I promise you, it is a rugged sick. I've watched many people make the error once. It's not something that people tend to make often. It really does make you sick. I'm not a huge fan of antabuse. I'm not a huge fan of taking away people's free will, because eventually they're going to get it back. And when they get back their free will, they're going to go cut loose like nothing you've ever seen. I've watched it happen, and it is a recurring theme. And we're talking about this proposal that in California, where they're going to they're going to force people basically into treatment against their will. And I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting thing to see, but I don't think there's a chance in hell it happens. Right? Never worked for me. And I got forced into a bunch of them. I don't know many people that it has worked for. Maybe it does. Maybe there'll be a percentage. But what it comes down to is Naltrexone seems to stop my cravings. The other one is bad for my heart. Cosmic Christie, that's a there you go. That's basically the gold standard for what everyone would say. The people who study it would say the same thing. The other one is not great for your heart. People complain a lot about that. Free Zenu, I am sorry. Free Zenu asks a question and says, Tommy, do they make something like that for people on meth that makes them sick if they use it? No, they do not. Sadly, however, there are some studies being human. Good to see you. I'm glad that you're back. There are some studies being done right now to for the same concept as what naltrexone does for booze. There are people working right now diligently. In fact, my understanding is that they're in a double-blind test right now on a drug that is supposed to do for methamphetamine and amphetamine what naltrexone does for booze, where it just turns off the pleasure center. And if that were to happen, obviously that would be one hell of a way to help fight. Now, I will ask you this though, Zeno. Please tell me that you are talking to professionals about this. By the way, no more of these. These earphones have definitely made the cut and will be a proud sponsor of the Lifeboat. But I have to put all of the cool stuff about them, a discount code if you want to get them, and all that cool stuff in the link below. You won't see it on this one. You'll get it on the next one, I hope. This is for your niece. Okay. Okay. This is a very there is a lot that can be done with amphetamine. But it has to be done with a professional. And there are some solid things out there right now that a doctor who's hip, and I do mean a doctor who's hip, because there are doctors who won't even dream of the stuff that I'm talking about. I did actually drain that from the outside, yes. There were people in rehab who were forced into treatment and they were so focused on anger that they got nothing out of the experience except negativity. Yeah. Well, it becomes a battle, doesn't it? Right? Instantly. You walk in the front door and it's, you forced me in here. It's me against you. I'm going to win this. Right? You arch your back and there's instantly a battle. And that's, it doesn't work. It's never going to work, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, and someone's going to send me an email today, because that is the nature of being the captain of the Lifeboat. I'm going to get an email today from someone that's going to say, I was forced into rehab at gunpoint, and when that happened, it worked perfectly for me, and I've been sober since 1917. God bless you. There's always the one. There is. They use Valium in hospitals for detox for everything here. Really? Unless the liver is too bad. Well, benzos make sense, right? Benzos make sense. If you're far enough along that your body needs alcohol in order to survive, there aren't too many places on the planet that are going to give you alcohol while you're in the hospital. There are places that will still do that, but there aren't very many of them. And it's places that don't get benzos, because benzos will do the same thing, right? It will do the exact same thing in the body. Valium is alcohol in a pill. What it does to your, and that goes for way more than Valium. You understand? That's Klonopin. That's Xanax. That's any of the benzos. And there's about 1 million of them. There really is. There's a lot of benzodiazepines, and every year they seem to come out with a couple of new ones. Wasn't Valium supposed to marry the Jewish princess? Yes, as a matter of fact, that is exactly how it was supposed to go down. Guess who? Take a guess. Yeah. Yeah. Jeremy's funny as hell. He's quick on the uptake. He's quick on the uptake. People, I'm feeling a lot better today than I was yesterday. And a lot of it going forward. Look, I'm miserable. I'm not going to lie. My lower back right now is just, I'm really having problems with my lower back. A lot more like you do now. I do feel a lot more like I do now than I did before, which is good. what I'm going to have to do is get my back worked on. But the rest of me, I seem to be doing all right. And it's a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm living in the moment. Because I'll be really honest with you, there's a few things that happened a little bit back. Yeah, I promise you, Henny, all benzodiazepines are just alcohol pills for all intents and purposes. They're doing the same thing in the body. That's why if a person goes into the delirium tremens and they're in full-blown alcohol withdrawal, the kind that causes people to go into seizures and die, they don't pour the person a cocktail, right? They give the person, depending on the doctor and what their understanding is, because I've seen people given Valium for a long time. Now it seems like there are some stronger benzos that they're giving people, or weaker benzos, and they kind of do it based on the size of the person or whatever. You've already dropped off the kitties. See how long I talk? That woman was able to get the cats already down there, Lenny and Squiggy, and get them dropped off. 79 people in the morning chat's exciting stuff. Although yesterday's morning chat, I think we got about 5,000 or 6,000 views on, which for us is not good. It's ridiculous. A couple of hundred's good. 500 on a morning is great. 700 or something on a morning is fantastic, right? We're a sobriety club, but we get 5,000. Even if 1,000 of them just hate me because they think I'm being mean to the late great Matthew Perry, who, by the way, I didn't give a crap about Friends. I didn't watch anything that dude did ever, but I became such a huge fan of him after. I was a big fan of him because of his openness about his addiction. I thought that was just, I think he did massive amounts for the rehab community in a lot of ways, the way Russell Brand does, except they were like the North and South Pole. One was really in your face and obnoxious, and one was really the opposite direction, but they were both trying to do the same thing. Sorry, hold on. That's not the one I was looking for. Same thing with treatment as court-appointed anger management classes, sending me as a part of a GBH charges. GBH. No, I know GABA hydroxybutyrate, but that's GHB. What is GBH? I don't know what that is, real scummy. Might have been GHB. Do you mean GHB charges? GBH. Yeah, I don't know what GBH is. Jeremy, we were just talking about that one.
Grievous bodily harm.
Oh, there you go. How are you doing? That'll do it. But it's got to be a European thing, right? I don't think we use that in the U.S. We would have said assault with a deadly or yeah, grievous bodily harm. Thank you, Cosmic Christie. Get back home. Get back home, Loretta. There you go. Get back home. See, Seventh Son was tickled. Seventh Son, 9 of 9. Was there always a 9 of 9 on there? See, you guys do this crap to me. This is gaslighting. That's what it is. Seventh Son says Seventh Son, 9 of 9. Has that always been there? Yes. Good morning, brother Johnny Scoville, says Candy's Life. These days, Johnny's usually pretty close by. We have been filming a lot on each other's channels. It's and it's fun. We have I think we have a pretty good time when we film together. I'd like to start doing some more stuff on the lifeboat with just the two of us kind of rapping. But so listen, I'm going to give you an example before we leave, because this example, if I'm lucky, will last about 15 minutes. We call this a wrap. This is something that I have talked about before on the boat, and people went nuts the last time I did. I'm not kidding you, man. I got I wouldn't hazard a guess. I got a ton of emails from people who were like, you're working through your problems and it's personal stuff. People, this came from a book. All right. This is literally from a book. This is not an example from my life. Guess I should probably say that before we get rolling. This is literally an example from a book. But it's the It's the living in the moment concept. And then the guy tells the example of a gentleman who drives by and sees a woman driving in the opposite direction in a car that he recognizes, sees the woman and says, looks exactly like my wife, then sees a guy kissing the woman. Instead of going home and confronting his wife and saying something, the person does nothing with it. He puts it away. He's like, no way, that's my wife, right? Looked like her, definitely the same kind of car. It even had that weird thing on the mirror, blah, blah, blah. When we do things like this, when we put stuff away, if there's something that we go, it's just that tickle, and you say, that's stupid, you're undermining the relationship with the person that you care about. Instead of just going to him and saying, hey, man, you know what? This is stupid as crap. I know it is, because like you work during the day and whatever, but I saw a car I thought was yours and I didn't. But, the person then ends up leaving the woman. They're not together. 4 years later, 5 years later, long gone. He doesn't care about this woman. In fact, he's with somebody else. But he passes a little white Honda or a little white whatever going in the opposite direction, and it's got the same woman in it. And his brain goes, I'm right back there. And you're not back there to a flashback where you go, oh, I remember that. You're back there to, I'm angry. I'm gritting my teeth. That dirty, cheating piece of, right? The thought theory being is, if as that happens, we go, you know what? I'm just going to cope with this right now. As opposed to saying, ooh, if you get that feeling of, right, deal with it. And don't move on until that is over. Because if you say, I'm just gonna, that's okay, I can get through this. I'm just gonna move on. I'm just gonna move on. You don't move on. You think you do, right? You think you do. You think you take that file and you put it in the filing cabinet and you say, I'm gonna deal with this a little bit later, right? I mean, that's logical. But it's not what happens, right? This would be your filing cabinet, right? And you just take this thing and you put it back here and you go, we're good, right? At a later date. But what happens is you take this thing and you dump it out on the desk, right? That's really what happens. You're not filing away anything. You're just dumping all of that paper onto the desk that is your mind. And it makes journaling a bitch. It really does. When you sit down to try to get what you got in your mind out of your mind and on paper, it's not going to be an easy thing to do. And the more you got going on, the more important it is that you get that stuff out. I'm not going to lie to you. Maybe I'll lie to you. My mind's not in a great place today. It's not. It wasn't in a great place yesterday. Although I think I'm in a better place today than I was yesterday. They're not all 10s. Right? You're going to get the occasional 2. It's getting through those days that are 2s that are important. Today's not a 10. Tomorrow's not going to be a 10. But if you can catch them above the north, if you can get north of 5, right? You're right, Valerie. It is easier said than done, but only in the beginning. I promise you, only in the beginning. In the beginning, it's very difficult to do, but you will get to a point where it becomes second nature, and you'll know when you meet these people, right? And I'll be really honest. What's crazy but true is you'll meet these people more in prison than you'll meet anywhere else. People that know that if they put something away, they're going to kill you later, right? This is a person that doesn't deal really well if they don't deal with things instantly, and that's alpha males, and they're all over prison. You got guys that deal with crap instantly. It is a different environment. Somebody does something to bother somebody, I assure you in 7 seconds, they're going to know about it. And I don't mean it's a violence thing. Very often the guy will just walk up and go, let me explain something to you, man. You got me feeling some kind of way with the crap you just said, right? And then everybody in the room starts doing this number, just sort of backing up, because how that guy responds to that, right, is going to determine everybody's day, right? Whether we get locked down or whatever, everything that happens from that point forward. But nobody says, oh, I'll just deal with this later. Right? I'm really upset, but maybe I'll ask him about it. No, things are done in the moment. And it's a habit. It's something but when you meet these people on the street, you'll know they're different, because someone will stop you in the middle of something that you just said and go, wait, back up. What did you just say? Right? And it'll feel very odd and confrontational. But what it is a guy that lives in the moment who's like, I'm not going to let you continue to talk. Did you just say something about me? Right? Was that just a dig? Because I'll promise you, we're going to deal with this dig. I'm not going to let this be something that festers like a fish hook in my brain until the next time I see you. It's not going to happen. We're going to knock this out right now. It's a skill that comes off as aggressive in the beginning. I don't mind it. I really don't. I don't mind people that come at you and say, "Hey, let me tell you how this is making me feel," because people, I can't sit in this chair any longer. I'm either going to have to start doing this puppy standing up, or I'm going to have to go get something done to my back because my lower back is just. I could go a full hour. I promise you. I just don't think I could go a full hour shitting on this thing. Shimmy Dooby Wobby. I love this boat too. Good to see you, man. People, Captain Tommy Scoville. I'm going to be back tonight. Hopefully between now and then, I'm going to do something about this. We are living in prison state. Lockdown happens in prison. Yeah, well, I've learned to appreciate that skill myself. I believe you have, Tommy. A lot of guys that have been in kind of live that way. This is a feline in a woven basket. Made in Africa, actually purchased from a friend when squirrel got too big for the last basket. We'll see you on the next one, everybody. All right. Lidocaine patch. I actually have some of those here. I may go and look at that. Right before I went live, I was talking about that. Evelyn, thank you. See ya.